Brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
I just have a question about the advantages of renting long-term, like 15, 30 years, instead of a mortgage. I'm not really interested in building wealth long-term. I'm more, I guess, interested in like a quality of life now and not taking up my time with house repairs or my money with house repairs, but just kind of having a life that's different through renting, and I'm not so interested in the building wealth.
How old are you?
I'm 40, and my wife is also 40.
And she's also not interested in building wealth?
No, I mean, like we have retirement accounts and we're saving and all that, but in terms of like real estate wealth and that kind of thing long term, we kind of feel like the peace of mind that comes with renting, knowing that there's no surprises, expenses, and things like that. Is there an advantage to renting long-term over mortgaging?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big things is just the diversification piece. So if you have all of your money, in the markets, in a sense, to a degree, all your eggs are in one basket on that side of investing. And then real estate is the next way that we look at investing because of the long track record that it has. And for you to have home ownership gives you a level of not just diversification, but I think overall just power. And I understand, that or when you say like, I don't want to build wealth, and just to be clear, like we don't encourage people to build wealth just to build wealth, right? I mean, it's building wealth, I think, to a degree that you have a level of options in your life, you have a level of peace that you're not living paycheck to paycheck. So your wealth building that you don't want to do, quote unquote, may look different than another listener that's watching this or listening to this. But I think one of the biggest pieces of this, Marco, is just that idea of diversification, and that eventually renting ends up being more expensive because you end up throwing money away. It's a good short-term situation for some people financially, but long-term, it's better that you're kind of almost paying yourself because you'll end up building equity.
Mm-hmm. So I hear a lot that, obviously housing market prices are not coming down. So when you say it's better to rent short-term and then buy long-term, the longer every day you wait, prices are going up. So how long realistically would you rent before trying to actually buy something?
I mean, I would wait till I'm in a position where you're in a position, regardless of what the market's doing, that you're in a position to buy. So for us, our parameters that we have is to say, yeah, we would love for you to have at least 5% down for a down payment on a 15-year fixed rate mortgage, and that your mortgage is no more than 25% of your take-home pay. So it's a quarter of your income. So that way you have 75% of your money that you're making going to things like investing, like you're doing for retirement, and to be able to enjoy your life like you want to do.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
And Marco,
you guys' help.
Yeah, the big piece here is we're not saying get a mortgage and hang on to it for the rest of your life. The goal is to pay this off.
Yeah.
And what that does is it lowers your expenses when you go to retire. The problem is if you keep renting, rent could be double what it is by the time you retire, and you're stuck with that expense for the rest of your days. And so I wouldn't be as worried about maintenance and repairs as I would be about the increasing cost of rent. And instead, I'd rather see you get the mortgage, get rid of it, get rid of that fixed expense to where you're only paying property taxes and insurance. Because right now you're paying that already through your rent to the landlord. They're covering their costs through your rent. And so the key is when you're an owner, you own that asset, that home will appreciate, it becomes part of your legacy. And regardless of if you want to build wealth or not, that's fine. That's a different discussion. I think it's wise financially in the long term to own a piece of real estate. Yeah,
because Marco, if this is encouragement to you too, people that do the baby steps, baby step 2 is get out of all consumer debt but your house. And people do that on average anywhere from 18 to 24 months on average. And then when we see baby step 6, which is paying your house off early, people are paying it off in 7 to 9 years on average. So to George's point, you'd only have a mortgage if you're doing all of this stuff, maybe for 10 years, not 30 years like a 30-year mortgage says.
Do you have any debt, Marco?
No, my wife and I are debt-free, and we have a couple of retirement accounts. So I guess what you're saying is that long-term owning a house isn't just about wealth creation, although that definitely is a piece of it. It's also about future expense reduction, which it would be, rent would be a big piece of that. And when you're not paying rent when you're retired, it's a lot more comfortable of a life than having a more paying rent when you are retired.
Exactly. And you don't need as much in retirement, because if you have rent to pay for the rest of your life, you need a lot bigger nest egg. And so there's a nice trade-off there when you go, all right, I'm not going to have a mortgage payment. And at the same time, we want you investing 15% until that mortgage is paid off. Then you can increase that. So how much are you investing right now?
Right now, we're right at about 15%
Okay.
of our household income. So
And
I
do you have money in savings?
401k. Yes, we have about 6 to 7 months of expenses in savings,
Good.
and then I have a 401k through work and 2 Roth IRAs.
Okay. You guys are doing great. And you're at the
Yeah.
step where I would say, now that you have all the foundation laid out, let's start to get that down payment. And I don't know what the housing market's like in the Greenville, South Carolina area. I imagine it's pretty hopping, but I'd begin to go, all right, let's get in the game. And that might even be a condo or townhome and maybe eventually a single family home. Get something reasonable under the parameters Rachel said and get that mortgage paid off as soon as possible.
Okay, that sounds like a great plan.
Thank you so much for the call. Great question. And I want to call out to all the renters out there, Rachel, that renting is not a sin. It's not a waste of money. There's such a hot debate on either side.
Yes.
There's people saying, you should always rent. It makes so much more sense. You don't have all the liabilities. You're more flexible. And that's all true. And the homeowners are saying, stop renting. It's wasting money. And we hear this from the older generations to the younger generations. And they're going, yeah, I'd love to own a house. It's just impossible right now.
It's just so expensive,
I want to be the referee, flag on the play. No, everyone's right
Separate
and
the teams.
everyone's wrong.
That's right.
Settle down.
Yes. Yeah. And renting's a great option for a season of your life, right? While you're getting yourself in a financial position to go and buy. Because, I mean, let's be honest, when you buy a home, for most people, it is the largest financial investment that you make. I mean, it's the largest purchase you make. I mean, it's so much. And so you want to be making sure that this is wise, that you've done it really well. And renting for a lot of people is kind of that medium step, which is great. But to Marco's point, what he was asking, that doing that forever and ever, amen, ends up costing you.
100%. So whether you're a renter or a homeowner, the goal here is to minimize expenses in retirement, to build wealth, to live the life we want. And that's what he was really getting at. Marco was saying, I want to have a quality of life now. I believe you can do that and be a homeowner and be a renter. The key is to be on a budget, living on less than you make, and staying out of debt, and make home buying a part of your wealth building plan.
Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life.